Gary, Indiana. The narrow streets echoed with passing cars and distant dogs. Michael, no older than 18, stood at the corner convenience store, holding a beat-up notebook filled with lyrics. The sky was bruised with clouds, and so was his confidence. "Dreams don't pay rent," muttered Mr. Jeffers, the butcher, as Michael walked past. "You still singing in that garage, Mike?" laughed another man from the barber shop. "Come on, boy," snapped Miss Luella, arms crossed. "Nobody's gonna listen to some soft-voiced kid from this side of town. World's too loud for that." Michael's jaw tightened. He wanted to shout, but instead he whispered, "Maybe I'll prove you wrong." They laughed louder. Back home, he sat on the porch steps, fingers twitching against the paper. He'd written a chorus that made him cry the night before. But now it just felt stupid. His own people. They didn't believe in him. He stared at the notebook, then slowly closed it. Maybe they were right. Then, from the sidewalk, a slow shuffle approached. An elderly woman with silver hair and a wide hat stopped in front of his house. She looked straight at him. "You thinking about giving up?" she asked. Michael blinked. "Maybe." She tilted her head. "Good. That means you're close." He frowned. "Close to what?" She smiled. "To breaking through." Michael didn't understand, but something about her calmness rooted him. Then she said one sentence that made him freeze. "You have a voice the world hasn't earned yet." Michael's heart skipped, and before he could say another word, she was gone. The next morning, the sky hung low and gray over Gary. Michael sat in the kitchen, his notebook closed, untouched. His brothers were out, his parents asleep. But in his mind, her voice replayed like a melody. "You have a voice the world hasn't earned yet." Who was she? He'd never seen her around. No one in the neighborhood wore hats like that. It didn't make sense, but it felt real. Michael slipped on his jacket and walked toward the corner market. Same faces, same smirks. The butcher raised an eyebrow. "Still chasing that pop star fantasy, huh?" Michael didn't reply. He walked past, head down, but this time something had shifted. He wasn't angry. He wasn't even sad. He was curious about what that woman saw in him that no one else did. At the bus stop, he opened his notebook. He wrote a single line. "They don't hear me now, but they will." Just then, a group of local kids passed, mocking his falsetto, mimicking dance moves. "Do the spin, Michael. Maybe the pavement will applaud." He closed the notebook again, not in defeat, but in patience. That night, he didn't write lyrics. He didn't sing. He listened, to the wind, to the silence, hoping it might whisper again. But instead, a knock, slow, rhythmic, at the front door. Michael opened it cautiously, and there she was, same wide hat, same knowing eyes. "I see you've been thinking," she said. Michael nodded slowly. "What should I do?" he asked. She leaned forward and whispered, "Let them doubt. That's how legends are born." And just like before, she vanished. The studio was nothing glamorous. Old carpet, flickering lights, and a mic stand with duct tape holding it steady. But to Michael, it looked like a palace. Quincy Jones stood near the console, flipping through notes, sunglasses perched on his head despite the dim light. "Let's see what you got, kid," he said. Not unkindly, but not expecting magic either. Michael stepped into the booth. His hands trembled as he adjusted the headphones. The same notebook sat in his pocket, pages worn, corners curled. The track began. A slow beat. His heartbeat followed. Then he sang. The first note cracked slightly. He paused. The engineer glanced at Quincy. "Should we—" "No," Quincy said. "Let him find it." Michael closed his eyes. He remembered the mocking laughter from the barber shop, the kids mimicking him, the woman in the hat. Let them doubt. That's how legends are born. He opened his mouth again. This time it was different. The note flew, not like a sound, but like a truth set free. Verse after verse, chorus after chorus, Michael poured everything: the shame, the loneliness, the desire to be seen. It bled into the booth, filled the room like fire. When the song ended, no one spoke. Quincy slowly leaned back, arms folded. He smiled. "That wasn't just singing," he said. "That was survival." Michael, sweat on his brow, asked, "Was it good?" Quincy nodded. "It wasn't good, kid. It was dangerous." Michael blinked, but before he could respond, his phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. A familiar voice spoke softly. "Don't stop. You're only halfway to the miracle." It was her. 3 weeks passed. The track Michael recorded had become something of a legend within the studio's walls. Quincy replayed it for anyone who'd listen. Producers leaned in. Backup singers cried. A&R reps whispered the same thing. This could change everything. But outside that soundproof booth, the world was still loud. Tabloids mocked his voice, calling it too soft, too strange. Radio hosts laughed at his falsetto. Even within his own label, execs murmured, "Is he marketable?" Michael sat in his room, posters peeling off the walls, phone buzzing with opinions he never asked for. He shut it off. Instead, he picked up his pencil. Not to write lyrics, but to draw. Sketch after sketch poured from his hands. Faceless crowds, cages made of microphones, a boy standing on a stage of mirrors. His music had become a mirror, and it showed him things he wasn't sure he liked. That night, he took a walk alone. Hood up, steps quiet. He passed a group of teens playing his leaked demo on a cracked speaker. They didn't notice him, but they were dancing. Every beat, every line, moving like their hearts understood what their minds couldn't explain. Michael stopped. He smiled. And then he heard it. From across the street, sitting on the same park bench as before. She was there, the woman in the hat. But this time, she wasn't alone. Next to her sat a young boy with curly hair and a pencil in hand. Michael stepped closer, and the woman looked up and said, "Every legend needs a witness, and every witness becomes one." The bench was old, paint-chipped and rusted at the corners, but the moment felt untouched by time. Michael sat beside the woman and the boy. The child barely looked up, focused on his drawing. Lines and curves that formed something familiar. Michael leaned in. It was him. The boy had sketched Michael mid-song, mouth open, eyes closed, a fire inside the page. "He sees what others don't," the woman said softly. Michael turned to her. "Who is he?" "A listener," she replied. "The kind you were meant for." The boy finally looked up. His voice was quiet. "Your song, it made me feel less alone." Michael swallowed hard. Words caught in his throat. He realized then, his pain, his doubt, his voice, it had all reached someone. Maybe just one person, but maybe. That was enough. The woman handed Michael a folded sheet of paper. Same worn edges, same faint scent of lavender. He unfolded it. Another line, handwritten. "Some songs change charts, others change people." He looked up, but the woman and the boy were gone. In their place, only the paper remained, fluttering slightly in the evening breeze. Michael clutched it tightly and walked home. Not to escape, not to hide, but to finish the album. That night, under dim studio lights, he recorded a new track. No beat, no backup, just his voice and silence. A single take. The engineers didn't speak. When it ended, one whispered, "That wasn't music. That was a prayer." Michael smiled, not proud, peaceful. But just before he left the booth, his phone buzzed again. Unknown number. He answered. A child's voice said, Thank you. The night of the album release was quiet. No flashing lights, no grand stage, just Michael standing alone in a modest record store in downtown LA, watching people slowly drift in. He didn't want a red carpet. He didn't want a press junket. He wanted to feel, really feel, the moment. A young girl approached, clutching a CD tightly. Her mother behind her whispered, "She listened to your voice when her father left." Michael knelt and signed the CD, his eyes meeting the girl's. "You're stronger than you know," he said. By midnight, the album had gone viral, not because of marketing, not because of hype, but because people felt it. The rawness, the cracks, the truth. One song in particular. Track 11, the a cappella he recorded alone, became a lifeline for thousands. It had no title. But online, fans gave it one. The voice that listened back. Later that week, Michael returned to the park bench. No one was there. Just the wind and fallen leaves and the faint sound of music from someone's phone nearby. His voice echoing softly in the background. He sat in silence. Then, tucked between the slats of the bench, he noticed something folded. Another note. His hands trembled as he opened it. Some voices are born to be heard, but yours was born to make others speak. Tears welled in his eyes. This time he didn't feel alone. He didn't feel judged. He felt understood. Michael stood up. No applause. No cameras. Just a quiet breeze, a world finally listening. And a man who had found his voice not on stage, but in the silence between the notes. And as he walked away, a boy across the street began to sing. Off-key, nervous, but unafraid. Michael smiled. The curtain had risen, not for him, but for the next voice waiting to be heard. Sometimes, the world doesn't need another star. It needs someone to remind it how to listen.